splitting it, and Luminosity just taking the Lava Fisher side here. So both are going to be technically sharing a POI, but I'm sure that you can get more than enough loot here at Mirage à Trois.
It's one of those situations where you're like, I would like all of this.
Yeah.
However, there probably is enough for both teams, just about. One thing that is good news, of course, for the team on your screen right now, Reject Winnity, is that they do have a survey beacon to play with here. So they're going to get a little bit of ring information that Luminosity will not, by the looks of things. So LG might have to make a little bit of a trip before they can get that information, which gives Reject Winnity a little bit of a head start when it comes to their rotation. Also, they get to start the party. Well, let's be honest, Dan. That's why we're here as well, isn't it, really? They get to start the party on the ship. We get to start it here in Riyadh.
We just like starting the party, and it's a little bit noisy, but sometimes you can just dance the night away. Now, we are going to see the circle heading over towards a landslide area at the moment, so great for previous winners of match number 2, Twisted Mind, dropping at landslide. I will say, one of my least favorite POIs to drop at, but in first place, 39 points at the moment.
And the ring coming towards you. I love landslide. Always been a huge landslide fan, me. So I'd be saying right now, if I was Twisted Minds, they will, of course, be able to play that extreme elevation for quite some time as well. Wouldn't surprise me to see this pull out to the north, though, of landslide in those rocky areas. Sometimes we see that kind of drill tower finish, and teams kind of hunkering down under there. So that choke, which is between Monument and that drill tower, always a good one to hold towards that end game for sure. Also, the Vault Tunnel, always a good place to hold, but we do know that you can get pinched in there pretty comfortably. Well, on board with the team that we were talking about, Twisted Minds, and here is the height, and here is a triple take.
Yeah,
it's a weapon to have.
It's about just holding height now, isn't it? And making sure that no one else can really take a position close enough to you to be a real nuisance, but Reject were able to scarper on in and take one of those RV vans, and they can comfortably sit there for quite some time now. It's going to be a case of the race to landslide and surrounding areas. You can see Geek at the moment going through the Vault Tunnel as well. They could stay in that Vault Tunnel. Now, even though it might not be perfect for the end game, it could get you a lot of kills. Speaking of kills, NIP taking a fight.
NIP taking a little bit of a fight. We're going to see Zane grappling in here, and the first knock has come in. So 3v2 situation for them to try and turn in their favor. Going to be able to pick his perk as he goes for a shield swap as well. And you can see they're not really too bothered about doing too much off the back of it by the looks of things. They might chase this team down now that they have a tower down that they can try and close the gap. But job done here for NIP when it comes to the initial engagement. Gil putting down some shots from distance, though, so they're going to be a little bit careful here, NIP, that they don't drop into somewhat of a sandwich that they don't want to be in.
Yeah, it will be a sandwich, and I think that there's going to be a lot of time. Teams are arriving very quickly, very soon, so I do like they are backing away just a little bit, trying to find a little bit more of a comfortable position here, and they will be within the circle, even though being on this eastern side is not going to be particularly a good area to hold because the circle unlikely to pull on this way. But you will be able to potentially clean up some kills if you hold this tunnel, for example, because there's going to be a lot of squads arriving from Fragment. You'd imagine with their rotation. As you can see, Fennel just got eliminated, so our first team just got wiped off World's Edge.
Yeah, Fennel, who sat in 12th at the start of this game, so a little bit of a quiet one for them, but like we mentioned, it's about, I would say, consistency. And just looking across the leaderboards and looking across the teams who have put points on the board so far, it's, for me, I would say, Aurora and Twisted Minds, they've been the teams who have put the big games in, right? They're the teams who have won games so far. But everyone else that's in and around is usually teams that you see starting to come good towards the end of the series. They're the ones that you talk about accolades with, right? Team Liquid, FaZe Clan over in EU. You got Team Falcons, of course, there. DSG, who, let's not be, not, you know, sugarcoat it. Very rocky split for them, but historically on LAN have always performed, especially here on World's Edge. So it's about the long game here. I think a couple of early games is obviously great to get those points on the board, but if you can stay in and around and know that if you get to game 9, game 10, and you win a game, you can bump yourself up into those qualification spots, well, big smiles, happy faces, little dance.
Yeah, just a reminder, aiming for that top 9 so that you can qualify for finals. We will be sending a team home today, though, and they'll have that key crush, which is always a brutal thing to watch. I don't know if viewers watching Apex Legends for the first time at the Esports World Cup, where they would have seen other games at Esports World Cup, but every team or player, depending on which game you're competing on, gets a key, and as soon as you're eliminated, it is crushed, quite literally crushed, by a crushing machine, and usually it's your opposition that does it. But I have been wondering, who gets to do it? Because we've got so many teams here with Apex.
Bare hand just does it for every single team at the moment, yeah. It is quite something, isn't it? It's like the disappointment of knowing that you've been knocked out. It's like, just before you go, by the way, we just want to make a visual thing to let you know. It certainly is an entertainment factor for sure. But speaking of entertaining, it's time for Falcons to finally leave Sky West and make their way forward. You can see from the POI as well, they had Survey Beacon, they had Ring Console, they obviously had all of the beautiful loot that you get as well, and they managed to get themselves up to purple with essentially not having to lift a finger finger, but now that they are approaching the edge of landslide here in the outside areas, this is where they're going to be dangerous.
Yeah, this is where other teams are going to be a little bit worried about that northwest area, because you know Falcons are going to be arriving, they're going to be looted, they're going to be booted, and they've already got purples to work with as well. So if you do see any sort of seer ult come down, you want to be running away from it, because there's only going to be one indicator, really. There's not that many Seers in the lobby, if at all. I think there's just a few. It's actually Twisted Mind and Falcons both playing the Seer right now.
You can see they're looking to poke and prod onto LG, and this is the position they want to take away. This is one of the strongest positions that you can have for this zone. If it does pull back towards where LG find themselves, it really is a great spot for denying LOS. It's also a good spot for getting shots down on all the teams who have to leave landslide a little bit later in the game, excuse me. And you can also, they're going for the Wombo Smoky combo, which is officially the new name of this. You can see the smoke onto the tower, and now they're probably going to use that fuse ult to back it up, and that's going to give them all sorts of information, is how I'm going to phrase it.
So LG, I mean, could potentially take this fight, but they're all on blue, so it is a fight they are going to be at a huge disadvantage in terms of armor. And maybe if there's any indication there from Falcons, they might decide to get a little bit more aggressive. But you can see also LG running the Seer, so they're one of the Seers that are also in this lobby, so they'll be able to drop down the exhibition and make sure they get as much information as possible as well. As the circle does continue to pull towards landslide here and away from the likes of Guild Esports, for example, we did say that eastern side, it's unlikely to have a pull. So now everyone's going to have to try and make their way through those choke points. For example, FaZe having to move from Monument on that northern side, and have a little bit of a difficulty to do so. Speaking of difficulty, Falcons just in open area at the moment, but smokes go down just to keep them safe and healthy.
Yeah, one thing the Falcons always do well that I think separates them from a lot of teams is they have a spot to play for now around the RV, and you know they're going to be able to play there, but they realize that there's better spots available, and they're always looking for openings, always looking for a shield to be chipped away that they can maybe try and turn their focus to that player, and before you know it, they've got a 2v3, they're sending it onto that team and trying to take that better position away. So never kind of settling for what they have, always looking for perfection and the best, essentially, is what Falcons do when it comes to the fights they take and the places they want to play from. And speaking of which, you can see Twisted Minds on our screen, who was the team, of course, who have won a game already today and landed here at Landslide. They got themselves up to blues. There was one thing I was a little bit worried about, was when we saw Reject Winity and we saw them kind of engaging a little bit earlier on, both teams only had whites due to the quickness of one rotation and the fact that at Landslide you don't really get a lot of interactions to get yourself up to blue, right? But they've managed to do so, whereas Reject Winity haven't as yet. So that, for the end game, makes it a little bit more difficult for them to defend their spot that they're holding at the moment, only having those white armors, whereas on the other side, the blues just make it a little bit, you can peek a little bit more, you can prod a little bit more, take a little bit of space, overlook some third-party opportunities, and before you know it, when it gets to that endgame, you should have those purples.
That's one of the reasons why I'm always reluctant to be a team that does move very early, but that's also another reason why people are playing the Wattson, because it gives you that little bit more comfortable scenario in the area, because you can just lock down those positions with defenses. As you can see, it's the same Twisted Mind. They are going to be dropping, they are going to have the height originally, but now they say, look, as more people are arriving, we need to be locking down an area, because otherwise we are a little bit too exposed to grenades. Speaking of grenades, they are coming down. There has been a knock, and Twisted Mind are going to try and push up on this ever so slightly.
Yeah, I like this. They're trying to command as much space inside a landslide as they can at the moment. I mentioned how, it's good to have a spot. It's even better to have the space all around it and be able to pressurize different teams as they move in a little bit later into the game. You saw them get a knock. We've still got 19 squads remaining, by the way, as round 2 is going to close in just over 1 minute and 10 seconds time. Strafe from Flame's got to be careful, though, and he's going to have to use that strafe right now to get back and get that shield battery popped.
And there was a couple of members of Reject Winity that went down, so you spoke about those white armors, you spoke about them struggling a little bit. They've lost 2 players now, and it's just going to be Jung-hee left as the last remaining. So it's not going to be a particularly good game for Reject Winity either, considering the fact that they did struggle in Stormpoint earlier. It's a tough follow-up here on match number 3. But there is still the opportunity, you never know. There's always a comeback chance, even as an individual, as Falcons are starting to overlook this. I like this from Falcons. They are slowly but surely taking more space, and they are getting closer to Twisted Minds. So Twisted Minds need to be careful here, because if Falcons smell blood, you know full well they're a team that can just jump on that damage.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of damage. There was a lot of numbers just popped up on my screen. Even my arithmetic down with 2 100s knows that that adds up to 200. So that's good damage coming in for sure, as we see an attempted res now coming in as well. So it looks like Reject Winity might be trying to make that play, but you can also see in the kill feed that Falcons don't want to allow that to happen. It's going to be Zero who takes down Jung-hee here, and that will be the end of his game for now.
But the 2 remaining players do have an opportunity, and Karapu will arrive back to the scene and can go right back into their trusted RV fan that they've been sitting in throughout the majority of this game. So a great res, but sadly it will be for the life of one of their players.
Team Liquid going to have a look at this as well. Those Watson fences just slowing down their progress a little bit, but look at this parkour coming in right now. They tiptoe across the fence. And I'm not talking about the electrified one. I'm talking about the one that's made out of concrete and steel, probably. Not sure of the materials. Have to do some research onto that. But they have now taken the RV away, and it's, again, just great bit of opportunity sensed and opportunity taken here by Team Liquid.
But I will say, at least Reject Winity were able to survive. Team that wasn't able to survive, Aurora Gaming, have gone down as they were trying to make their move into Landslide as well. There is a lot of teams outside this next circle, by the way, because there is a lack of playable space available. A lot of the teams that got into these surrounding areas early on are just holding out all those squads. So we've got about 8 teams right now outside of the circle and are going to have to move in at the same time. One of them, temporarily, is Falcons, but we know they kind of have an area to play with. There is a lot of open space, but they are one of the best teams at commanding open areas.
On the other side of all of this, though, way away from Landslide, and this is just outside of Fragment towards the train tunnel, is going to be numerous teams trying to fight their way through. Reject Winity have been eliminated. Karumpu was the last player to go down. We also see Guild in the kill feed as well, and that's the grenade that you've just seen off screen that's hit its mark. Makers are on the other side of that, and Guild just trying to hold them out now.
And this is going to be a very important fight to win for the likes of Guild. You've got Evos on the other side, Makers as well down below, but NIP are waiting in the train tunnel for whoever is going to survive on that eastern side. So NIP could walk away with some very easy kills if they play this one correctly. It depends really how Guild want to approach this one. Do they want to try and rotate north and join all those other squads?
Well, look at LG. LG have managed to kind of weasel their way in towards Landslide right now. Just remember, a few moments ago, they were holding that position on the tracks, but having seen where this circle is now shifting, this is a hard landslide zone. So right inside of the POI is where we're going to be concentrating the most of our attention for this endgame. And LG sensed that, right? They saw an opening, they saw a route they could take, they could rotate through some of the fights that were going down, and now they find themselves with a pretty good spot to play.
That's one thing Sweet is very good at, is finding playable space, and he's so good with endgame circle calls as well. I think Luminosity are delighted to have an IGL like Sweet on their team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they are up there in the names who could be one of the teams that actually wins the Esports World Cup here for Apex Legends. Now, NIP will still be holding out on the eastern side. You can see Evo's just got eliminated, as did Gaming Gladiators and Red Rams, so we're starting to see teams getting wiped off the face of World's Edge right now.
Yeah, no surprise. It's quite simply not enough room to play. Makers eliminated as well, as FaZe now try and work their way in towards zone. Taking care of the fences is going to be the first port of call for them, but JHS Professional are right behind them. So FaZe have got into the RV, but they are being pressurized, so they're going to have to keep their heads on a swivel here.
Yeah, heads on a swivel because GHS are going to be above them. Actually, GHS are surrounding them at the moment. There are 2 players who are pushing from the north, and there's 1 player just south, so I wouldn't be surprised if there is a pinch attempt by GHS. But it is a risky one because you have to be aware of your surroundings. Is there any other teams? But I don't think there is. It would be an isolated fight if they were to take it.
Well, Falcons trying to move up, and not for the first time in this game number 3. It's going to be LG and Falcon staring each other right in the eyes, but nobody giving up any space whatsoever at the moment. Elsewhere, we can see this is X-Cholos versus Guild Esports, and NIP are inside of that tunnel as well. Pioneers eliminated in the meantime, as we find ourselves now with 12 squads remaining, but Guild and X-Cholos, they've been going at it for quite some time on this side of the mountain range, and now we're going to see them send it.
Well, they full-on jump onto Guild here, and they will be able to get a knock, but it is a trade 1-for-1. It doesn't matter. Guild will be taken off, but now another team is going to arrive. NIP have been waiting for this moment.
They have, but have they timed it right? Did they get the timing on it? The shield swap's already been completed. Crazy Raccoon certainly weren't able to complete any of the business they wanted to get done. They will be taken out in this vault tunnel as GK move behind them, and with the gold res as well, they'll be able to reset.
It was the fight of the tunnels on both sides, just timed exactly the same. NIP didn't finish off that squad. They are being patient. They are not overcommitting because they realize they're still in a pretty good area here. They can use the ring to their advantage, and the ring will help them. And maybe XO are just going to be in a scenario here where they are trying to push up and they are trying to hit some shots.
Well, it's going to be NIP who are on the high ground. You see Kurev here. He's going to be down to barely any health whatsoever, and NIP have held, and NIP will wipe. They will get the kills that they need to take out X-Cholos on this side of the tunnel, and now they can turn their attention forward. The difficulty for them is to rotate from here, though, right? They've cleared their backs, but we know how vulnerable they can be. And look at this, Twisted Mind, they know it as well.
Crazy that it is pulled central landslide as well. There's always that possibility it could go north, but Twisted Minds have been here right from the drop, and they're taking full advantage of a POI situation where the circle comes right towards them. Still on blues, though. That could be a concern as we get further towards the end game.
Well, Strafe Flame only needs 9 damage, so he could be up to
Still
purple.
gotta get it.
I was going to say, technically you are correct. However, I expect that to change, maybe the best way to summarize it. And now that height you can see being taken by GHS Professional. That was the team who was surrounding FaZe just a few moments ago. One team who's kind of gone untalked about so far in this game is DSG. They found their way into the zone.
Yeah, DSG are going to be okay on the southwest, but their worry is Falcons are just north of them. So even if they try and push in, Luminosity and Falcons kind of going to sandwich DSG here.
Now, one thing to point out here that's very interesting when we get this kind of zone is what composition are you playing? Are you able to take height, which would be previously unplayable if you're not playing something like a Pathfinder, for example? We know that crane in the middle can be such a big structure that you can play on towards that end game. So the likes of NIP, who are playing a Pathfinder, I believe, they're going to have an opportunity to take that height a little bit later.
One of the scenarios where Wraith actually comes into the equation here, and Designful also joins the equation himself with big damage, and that portal comes in handy.
Yeah, I love that as well, because it's not about just cleaning that damage up and getting a position. They want to take this position away from LG. He's hoping someone sees that damage and capitalizes elsewhere. And now DSG, well, Designful says, I'll do it myself. He flies in a taste down Funk, and that's the opening they were desperate for.
That's the opening, and they should be able to clean up the rest of LG, you would imagine. But it is DSG with that opportunity to still push from this western side. Falcons have yet to make their move, and we still have a battle happening on the south towards the tunnel. Both NIP and GK are going to be there.
GK are going to be playing underneath them at the moment. NIP have moved across to one of those empty trucks now. We're going to see the exhibits going down as well. Falcons, they're making their move. You can see Zero just barking out orders to his teammates. JHS Professional will be eliminated in the meantime. They were off the high ground as Imperial How has to get that shield swap to get healthy.
Remember, this is important for Falcons because they're trying to catch Twisted Minds, but losing one is not going to help, but it is not done and dusted just yet. Even as a 2, there is a lot of damage to be done by this squad.
NIP have been eliminated in the meantime. We're down to 7 now as we see Team Liquid taking the height, and they're going to be safe up here for quite some time. They've also got a gen from a previous occupant of this position, so the grenades might be eaten up as well. We're going to see the attempted Reds coming in on the low ground as well. LG still alive. It's Sweet, I believe, as a solo here, as we see FaZe eliminated. Falcons have been eliminated as well, as we're down to just 5.
5 squad, Liquid have the height. We've got Twisted Minds still alive inside the RV as well. They are causing havoc at the moment from this high ground. It's so difficult to try and escape any of this pressure that they're putting on you because there isn't really cover for you. But finally, the teams get inside. Finally, LG still managed to get out of sight. It's Sweet again, doing sweet things.
And the craziest thing is, who's the team who landed? Here's Twisted Minds. Twisted Minds are still safe. And good news, everybody. Good news, Dan. They're up to purples as well. So they're going to be in a position to fight in this end game as well. They have navigated not just the craziness of having the zone pull towards landside, but the positions that they've shifted to. They've had been like 3 or 4 different positions in and around landslide and always taken the priority position away from another team as to where this zone is going to end. Team Liquid, though, still dealing damage. You can see, got some decent kills on the board as well. And, I mean, Yanya, he's got 1.2k damage.
Disguise making another move with a Wraith portal, I think I just saw. So it is going to be a real opportunity for them to find one of the better positions. Twisted Mind down to a 2, though. So even though the priority position they had, they could maybe get back up to a full 3 because they have the beacon.
189 hurts, and let me tell you that, even though it doesn't get the knock, it's enough to certainly scramble the brains for a few moments, as we can see Player K now reloading 5 bullets to play with, and it looks like they were able to stick that respawn as well. So quite rightly you pointed out, 1 player down, but he's going to be back up in just a few moments. As Player K tries to thread the needle, and Strafing Flame says, good job boys, I'm back, I've got this one.
So still 1 member of Luminosity remaining. Sweet is there, it's another 140, Twisted Mind doing a lot of damage from the center, and there we go. There's the last remaining player from GK going down. It's another kill added to Twisted Minds, who are looking to try and go back-to-back with games here.
I mean, Player K is hitting some shots, and he is looking dangerous in-game at the moment, but he could not look more relaxed out of it, just leaning back and letting the Kraber go to work. Team Liquid now taking that position up on the high ground. You can see Jaguares, he's got that ultimate ready, the Motherload to throw down at any time, but Player K ain't missing too many brains at the moment. Another skull gets cracked.
Oh, he has just taken a lot of damage, so they have to retreat temporarily. They do have a little bit of time before this zone closes in, though, but there is going to force out the likes of Luminosity, the likes of Liquid are going to have to move soon. Oh, and we will see the elimination from Disguise. They couldn't escape.
Luminosity still as a solo. Sweet manages to get them into the top 3. How many times have we said that so far this season? But now we are in a 3 versus 3. It's blue versus red. It's Team Liquid who have the advantage, and Team Liquid who will clean up and take game number 3.
It very much was a cleanup as well. The celebration on the stage from these 3.
With alien Alienware will have to see if they go back-to-back as we take a beautiful look at some of our beautiful faces who are going to be part of this game as well. You can see all the teams are locked in, all the players are ready as well. And looking at our initial zone here, Dan, we could be maybe a little bit of a Harvester one. We'll have to get a little bit of ring console information, but slightly to the south, but very central.
At least we're not going to be heading towards direct middle of landslide again. However, Twisted Minds probably would have enjoyed another one. They are at the top of the leaderboard, just 54 points right now for Twisted Minds, but Team Liquid only 2 points behind taking that first place at the moment. So it's very close at the top of the leaderboard, but remember, it's down at the bottom of the leaderboard where it's a little bit scary. Reject Winity still yet to put a point on the board after 3 games.
Those contests are going to hurt you if they don't go your way, and that's all you can really say about it. Well, I did say a little bit of a Siphon zone, maybe a little bit of a Southern zone, and I'm quite happy with that, to be honest. Based off that first zone, I'll take that.
I think you said Harvester, didn't you?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's closer-ish to Harvester.
I just wish once you would
just give it to you.
Lie with me.
The fact is, there's past broadcasts now. People can go back. Then I'm going down in flames with you. But yeah, Lava Siphon is where we're going to be heading and the surrounding areas. Great for NIP, of course, because they are going to be dropping there. But also, amazing news for any team that is down in the southeast, whether you're in Stacks, whether you're at Dome. You've got Team Liquid, who are down in the south. They have a very good position here to try and get to the zone quickly. They do have a ring console down in Dome to use as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just hit that as well, so they're going to have a really good rotate. They could play this one nice and slow as well, actually, and just play that platform just at the northern side of their POI at the moment down on Launchpad. So a real opportunity for them to really put 2 back-to-back big games together. And just to kind of amend what I said a little bit earlier on, I didn't mean the zone was going to Harvester down. Clearly what I meant is a lot of teams will have to rotate through Harvester on their way to zone.
Of course, yeah. That's exactly what you meant, and I agree with you, Mark. You were not lying.
Thank you.
Wink, wink.
Well, you've ruined it again by saying that, but it's fine.
I will say, one thing I did notice, no composition change. I know that sometimes you'll see changes back and forth when we are getting our first look at a map, but everyone seems to be pretty clear on what they would like to play here on World's Edge. I imagine that might change quite a bit when we go over to Kings Canyon, but we'll have to see when that does happen. But as for NIP, so something that happened in the LGS Pro League was NIP would often get caught out by teams rotating quickly when they weren't able to kind of loot up quick enough when the zone came towards them. However, they have maybe learnt from those lessons in different competitions and now seem to have looted up a lot faster and found a position to play.
I do like that NIP still commanding Lava Siphon as well. So by just saying, we're dropping here, if you want to contest it, we'll contest you. And everyone's gone, no. So they still have that POI to themselves as well. You see they've moved away from a little bit towards one of those snake buildings. One team who's going to have to make a far longer journey. And, I was going to say, maybe a far more painful journey by the looks of things, as one of them gets absolutely beamed off of the evac tower, is going to be GHS. And coming into this game in 5th position, but it is like a couple of points separating 3rd downwards. So it is extremely tight at the moment, but 5th place overall, they're going to have to go and get Wabu back.
It was the Gaming Gladiators who were able to find them from behind there, and I don't know if they will be going back for Wabu. If I'm completely honest, I think it might be a case of just allowing that one to go down.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I think they're going back. I think they're going back.
That's a long way back. That is a long way back. But I guess, realistically, if you want to be able to put as much points on the board, do you think that you can do it as a duo? I think that will be the telltale sign here if they do go back, is they don't believe they can do it as a duo. But we'll see.
Well, here's GK then, just taking a little bit of damage themselves and poking out. Killer Pose now with the Sentinel in his hand. He hasn't got that thing charged up to do max damage at the moment, but it's going to be enough to force Fennel away, who are trying to move through the tunnel themselves. So a little bit of a poke battle, as we saw, but I will say it was fascinating to see in that last game on World's Edge, right? So many teams alive as Zone 3 started to close as well, and it really was a wonderful kind of throwback to some of the most intense games. For the Pro League, we've had in the ALGS, we had 1 or 2 games that kind of people get ahead of themselves and desperate for points, but everything feels so much different when you get to land, when the money's on the line, and there certainly is that here in Riyadh for these teams. Everybody is trying to start the tournament and set the pace, I think, in the way they want to play for the majority of it.
Well, you want to get those advanced points, right? You want to be able to going into the finals lobby with the best advantage you can possibly find, and certainly winning this lobby would do just that. Now, Gaming Gladiators, after taking down the 1 player from GHS, are now noticing the 2 players from GHS coming back for that player, and they might decide to maybe follow up once more. But they do have to be careful because Red Ram's also in that area, which might just allow Gaming Gladiators to continue with their rotation. They have a relatively good rotation through the north side of this map here as they can continue on their southward journey. But it's going to be difficult once they reach that southeast area because it's starting to get a little bit jam-packed in a lot of the chokeholds now.
Oh, GHS, you can see that the decision was made to try and get one of the banners of the player who got beamed off of that evac tower. Unfortunately now, it's just Rufra left on his own, and he might be able to, he's got one big banner, so there's an opportunity for him to get one player back in. He might have to do a little bit of a rescue mission to see if he can get the second. Elsewhere, you can see Aurora, though. They sense blood.
Yeah, they say there is not going to be any sort of return back to the rest of your squad. Instead, we've noticed a scavenger in the works. We've noticed one remaining player that is just an easy kill, an easy point, and it will be secured after a little bit of damage done on the other side. As long as there's not another team in the area, it won't matter too much. It looks like they'll be okay.
I can tell you the exact comms from 9 Impulse there is he's one shot, guys.
He's one shot.
He's one shot. I've done my job, even though I technically lost the 1v1. But, you know, it is what it is. They win the war. It's not about the battle. It's just about coming out on top and staying on the map. So that's exactly what they did. They secure the 1 KP, which they will take every single day of the week, as Red Rams now, unfortunately, potting heads with someone over at the respawn village just outside of Fragment. Good shots coming in from Dutch, though. Maybe he can turn this situation around a little bit. Oh my goodness, he's got 2! He may be able to do something ridiculous. And I tell you what, Lufka just saved GG's blushes there, because that could have been ugly.
I think Lufka just saved this chair. I was about to jump up and it might have gone through the wall. Almost.
It's a very expensive stage.
One of the best things we've ever seen, but sadly does not come to fruition. I will say though, Gaming Gladiators, they continued their aggression after previously taking down GHS members. They saw Red Rams were making their rotation, and Gaming Gladiators noticing that this is going to be a difficult zone for them, so taking advantage of kills that can be available to them on the edge. Now, Twisted Mind, who are still in the lead here, at the top of the leaderboard, at the top of the lobby, have been able to get into Lava Siphon, and the zone is pulling a little bit further southeast, but that doesn't bother Twisted Minds just yet, because they are still within it.
Such a strange fight there between GG and I mean it was like one of those fights I was like there's literally no, in my brain it's like there's no way this is like winnable, and then he gets 1, it's like there's still absolutely no way that it's winnable, gets 2, and then I'm like there's still absolutely no way it was winnable, and thankfully I was right because if that would have been a 1v3, that would have been a keyboard, mouse, controller disposed of, I think, on that desk. That would have
just take it to the crusher at this point, along with the keys.
Yeah.
Just wipe them all out. I think everyone on the other side would have been embarrassed when something like that happened. But I think it's overconfidence sometimes. When you're in a 3 versus 1, you're like, we'll just send it, we'll send it.
Someone else to do it,
you expect someone else to clean up the damage. You might miss a shot or 2, and it can be very detrimental. Anyway, we are still talking about something that didn't really happen, but we can watch what happened again on the flip side.
Yeah, we can. This is a little bit earlier. This was while we were being taken down there, and you can see this is the almost 1v3, and I tell you what, it wasn't far off as well. Still managed to get some good damage onto Lufka himself as we look elsewhere at some of the replays coming in. Team Falcons, though, this is back to live gameplay right now, and this is going to be them trying to work their way through the choke at the moment. You can see, as expected, approaching this zone, which is the other side of the map to their drop spot over at Sky West. They're going to have a huge advantage when it comes to armor in these fights. You can see Imperial How, he's got gold helmet, he's got gold bag, he's red Evo armor. I'm sure that Jim Burton and Zero aren't too far off of Reds as well. So they are going to be a danger to anyone that they come across at the moment, and they will be more than willing to fight.
Worth noting that with the tournament as a whole, Team Falcons are currently leading the Esports World Cup as well. So this Team Falcons roster within Apex Legends has a little bit of pressure on their back, not only because the expectation is for them to win by the majority of the community, if not the majority of the talent team here, if not half of the world at this point, but as you are on the organization that is currently leading the entire tournament, you're also going to be hoping to find another W for your team.
Speaking of Team Falcons, we'll jump to a listen in with them now as they manage to get into the dome building a geyser, but they have to plan ahead.
Let's go that way.
Get your asses there.
That's that macro.
Let's displace there.
Just got it. The team that hit the mapper might come this way too. Like late, this way.
Move that way.
I think I'll turn. Which one? Onto this. There was a team there on map
Let's
room.
go
There was
that
a first round. They might be playing the carts. Yeah. There was only one team there earlier. Yep.
Building
I
is
have to go
pretty
so far to pick the cards. I have to go so fucking far. They just shot. The big one just shot this way. Yeah. I'm looking. I'm still looking. I don't see anybody. I'm still looking.
They should slide.
They have to come. They have to come. Run.
So as we jump out the list, and it seems like Falcon's not really quite sure what the next play is going to be. It's a bit of a difficult rotate for them where they find themselves at the moment. You can see the on a map overhead that EVOs are looking at them as well. They've got to kind of worry about Guild up at Grandma's house on the height as well. It's a little bit of a scuffed situation to try and work their way out of.
Circle's also pulling up towards the train tracks as well. Great news for Team Liquid, who now have a chance to go back-to-back themselves with the position they find themselves in. But look at this struggle from GG. They are well aware that there is another team behind them, and it's going to be Aurora. So they are waiting. They are hoping that Aurora are going to come their way so they can get some easy kills. But it looks like Aurora might just be trying to dive around them here using a little bit of an evac tower.
Yeah, it looks like maybe an agreement that we're both going to just try and get to zone first, because if we fight here, we're both dead, and it is going to be indeed both teams hitting the evac towers. It's going to be the advantage, you would say, maybe for positioning for Aurora, because they're going to land first, but Gaming Gladiators might be trying to chase them down. Pioneers putting some shots down as well, and he's going to be pulling the zone down below the train tracks, down to that low ground. You can just see on the left-hand side of your screen right now, GG landing, but there's an occupier already here.
Yeah, this is about to kick off. Both GG and Aurora all throwing themselves into this zone. You can see GG took a lot of damage from the zone as well, but it looks like they've been able to stabilize, and they should be able to have a genuine attempt at taking a 3v3 here, but they found a building that isn't occupied. It's worked out for GG.
18 squads still remaining in this lobby as we jump back over to see what Falcons are doing. And I mentioned how they've got to be careful of the team wrapping behind them at the moment. It looks like they are aware of that position. Knuckle cluster from How's going to go in just to slow down anyone thinking about peeking and prodding and really causing them a problem. And now we're going to see the exchange of the gold helmet as well, which is just going to allow Zero to get his ultimate back a little bit sooner on the Bangalore. Elsewhere, you can see Team Liquid, you mentioned them, they are holding down the tracks at the moment. They will have the high ground for the longest as we see GG forcing their way in and taking out Pioneers. They win the 3v3 inside of this little snake building, and we mentioned how Pioneers, maybe their loot pass haven't been great in the past, but their fighting didn't look too hot there either.
And there's a lot of fighting happening on that bridge I spoke of earlier. Team Liquid were holding it, but Aurora, they decided to join them and said, look, actually that looks like one of the better positions, as Twisted Mind just got eliminated. So the team that is leading this lobby wiped out, and we'll have to see whether they can bounce back on Kings Canyon, because that's where we're going next.
LG once again making their way towards this endgame. Aurora, 2 red to the purple. So dangerous when they are able to path their way through all these Evo harvesters and interact with as many things as possible on the map to get those armors up to be a danger in and towards this endgame. LG, you can see the difficulty they have right now. They've got the Watson down, of course, which is going to help them from projectiles, but armor-wise, they're just going to have to think about surviving and maybe looking for some chip damage on teams rotating a little bit later, because if they take a fight with the teams that are around them, the armor advantage really isn't going to go their way, as we see Guild Esports also eliminated. We're down to 14.
Surviving is going to be the key word for a lot of these teams. Those who are in Lava Siphon at the moment, they are in a difficult spot because there is about 8 teams there that now they are going to realize they all have to move east because of where that circle shifting is now. They will get the jump on them here, and it's a good amount of damage, and that's the perfect Pathfinder play, right?
It's good damage, not great damage. Would have wanted a little bit more there, would have wanted the knock, but like you say, that's the benefit of Pathfinder. Uses the ability to get away on that zip line as well to get back to teammates. It looks like it did get taken down by enemy though, so that's a bit of a problem for Evos now as they're down to 2. Designful putting in so much damage and holding them out at the moment. You can see the rest of DSG just kind of holding the egg building at the moment. No Q available for just a couple of seconds for Designful, so has to jump back through the portal, but essentially job done, right? If you're a Wraith and you're extending out, you see third-party opportunities and you can pick up some kills, well, you got to take it.
Designful sticking to what is true and tested for himself, is playing that Wraith, and 9th place at the moment. I mean, it is working out for them. They have got to a few final circles where the Wraith portal has somewhat helped against other squads that maybe were holding them out, but now we're going to see the damage needed, and the damage does get done by Designful, but is there anyone to follow up?
Well, QZ is looking to move up and maybe convert the damage into kills. The Skynade's going to break some shields, but it's not going to break any hearts quite yet. Now he's going to fly in. Now he's going to use the hip fire. Takes a little bit of zone damage, but manages to get the knock, and he won't have to worry about finishing that one off because the zone will do it for him. DSG looking to clear this side of zone now. A Designful steps back through the port towards his teammates, and he's looking for some more loot.
Because Esports are eliminated at 14th, and now Disguise have to continue moving west here, but they've got Aurora in front of them, Luminosity and Liquid then below them as well on this train track. I mentioned this was going to be one of the most most important positions on the map. Liquid held it early, but now everyone's starting to join them. But now we get all the commotion happening on the west side here, Mark. You've got the likes of GK, FaZe, Rejectability, and Fennel all in the same spot.
This is everyone trying to lead Siphon. This was, I would say, the most comfortable position to play for the majority of the game. Everybody starts to stack up, but then we always talk about it. If everyone's stacked up and the zone pulls away, everybody has to leave. And if you're a team on the other side of all of this, it gives you an opportunity for kills. Speaking of which, it looks like Falcons are trying to create their own opportunities for kills here. They're all up onto red Evos. They're going up against DSG here. Never an easy fight. And it looks like Zero wants to take it. How's going to get that first knock onto enemy?
This could be a great position for Falcons, especially if they can take down the entirety of DSG here, because then they will own the northern side of this circle. Fennel, first team to go down on the western side. Now we've only got 12 squads. Make it 11, because Crazy Raccoon have also fallen, but Falcons really being aggressive have lost one here.
Can they clean this up? They should be able to, but the port is going to take Q0 away. Is he going to be able to survive, though? Where does that port end up? That's the real question here. Jabun still on his back, but certainly still kicking for the moment. As Yanya tries to move in, Liquid will be eliminated in the meantime. And it looks like Falcons might be able to get a reset here. The smoke will go in, and DSG, that portal did get them back to some sort of safe ground. So Falcons, who had the advantage there for a second, well now, it looks like it might be a 2v2. Did they manage to get Gen back up?
It works in niche moments, but those niche moments have been aplenty so far today for Disguise. They are only a 2, as we will see FaZe eliminated. 9 squads now remain, but Falcons are still alive, and I think I'm hearing Let's Go Falcons chants in the arena as well.
You certainly might be. DSG still as a 2, though, and they did manage to get Jim Burton back on his feet. So Falcons will be able to fight as a 3 towards this end game. Now, we spoke about the traffic that was happening in and around Siphon. Well, these are the last surviving members, and GG have picked up a huge amount of kills. Lufka has 4 to his name himself at the moment. Look at that stick coming in. Huge stuff from the Knuckle Cluster as Blast tries to clear it up.
This is when GG are at their very best, when they can play edge, when they can arrive, get kills, and then be healthy, as Light's been able to do even more damage here as they eliminate GK. 7 squads now remain, and we are going to see Falcons taking the center position on this map, by the way, as the bridge is still hotly contested by 4 other teams.
Interesting to see what GG do from here as well, right? They won the Battle of Siphon, but can they work their way in towards the zone? LG up to purples. Last time we checked in with them, they only had the blues to work with, and you can see in the kill feed as well that GG just keep killing everything at the moment. LG trying to move in and clean up the final pieces. Sweet's going to swing in. X-Cholo's eliminated. GG will fall as well, and now it's about holding off the third party, and Sweet is doing a fantastic job of doing so.
But is it going to be enough? Syke still has full armor and is going to maybe bounce back, but you can see Aurora trying to get involved on this one as well. Rejectability, Luminosity, and Aurora, but is there going to be space for them all to survive? The answer is no. It's more likely going to be only one team that can survive this engagement.
Well, Sykes has managed to stay alive himself for LG, but Falcons are the team who control the destiny of this game. They are up to 3, but Disguise still up on this high ground, and with a charge up, Sentinel can have an impact too.
The crowd's still behind Falcons, and there is a real opportunity for Falcons to take this game, but Disguise could be a thorn in the side because they hold a lot of high ground that Designful currently has. Alongside that Sentinel, this is still winnable for Design, even though they're only a 2.
Some great shots there onto the crouching 9. Impulse managed to get the kill himself, get that knock, and he's charging up once more. Plenty of cells to work with here for Designful, but Aurora Gaming will be eliminated, so the last players have gone from Aurora. We're down to 4 squads now, and Sykes is still doing work for LG.
Team Falcons, the only squad that are at full 3, by the way, but they do not have a Pathfinder, so Disguise being on height, it could play a big factor in this endgame, as we'll see another player eliminated from Eject. LG now are the team that survives this bridge battle, but only with 1. It's 1 versus 2 versus 3. Falcons have the 3, and now it's a 2 versus 3. Disguise versus Falcons.
Well, this is fascinating, right? I mean, the one good thing here for Falcons fans is they might be able to use the Bangalore to force the team down from height. There is that ultimate coming in indeed. They maybe try and bait with that evac tower as well. Exhibit down once more as well, and even though this is the 3v2, you still have to get that first damage. If this turns into a 2v2, all of a sudden it becomes a bit dicey.
Well, Falcons full sending it, but now you see from Disguise, they notice it, and they jump, they try and get the behind action on them and said, let's get behind them, let's use this rope as well.
Jim Burton gets the kill onto Qzia though, Designful last alive, and Falcons will be a champions in game number 4.